And welcome in, guys, to kick off the tip-off. Long time no see. I think the last video we did was before the Kansas win, which seems like decades ago in the college basketball realm of things. So, Noah, it's March Madness. The mid-major conference tournaments are wrapping up as we're kind of recording. Obviously, Big 12, Power 4 to follow this week, and kind of felt like it was a perfect time to kind of just digest year one under Ross Hodge, give our takes from really the entire season out because they played Kansas at the beginning of the conference. So a lot to talk about. And that's kind of the beauty of this. Like, we usually come into these videos with a little bit of like a script almost, just things we want to talk about, things we want to highlight. But, we're just going to kind of freeball this, Noah, and let it go where it goes. And we're just going to shoot a bunch of different takes on year one of Ross Hodge. And I really want to start, Noah, with the schedule. And I'll give my first take here, and you can kind of piggyback off it however you like. So West Virginia finishing this year 18-13, 58 in net ranking. And this is what's glaring when you look at just their overall resume for this college basketball season. 5-7 in quad one, right? 3-5 in quad two, 2-1 in quad three, and then 8-0 in quad four. And I say the 8-0 in quad four, these are the games at the beginning of the year and right after the tournament where they played Xavier and Clemson and those teams. This is Mount St. Mary's, Campbell, Lehigh, Lafayette, Mercyhurst, Coppin State, Little Rock, Mississippi Valley State. These wins just don't mean jack shit. I think if you played an MEC team in Division II, you may get more you may get more respect than beating those teams. So in hindsight, Noah, like I understand, we have a winning record, things like that. But 8 of those wins are coming against opponents that, it really holds no weight, it holds no value. And I think come conference time, you could see in some of those games that we weren't really prepared with that non-conference schedule building up. We had a few of those key games, Wake Forest, Clemson in the tournament down there. Just where are you at with things in terms of the schedule before we talk about the kind of key signature wins that has West Virginia right around this next 4 out on the bubble talk, things like that?
I think I'm kind of polar opposite of your take there, Gage, and I know we haven't spoke about this at all, but you think of SEC football, right? And we were all upset that the SEC football they didn't play all the a game during the middle of the SEC schedule was against Sacramento State or some team that didn't matter, whatever. But that's a thing. SEC football is different than Big 12 football. When you're playing the worst team in the SEC, they're probably better than mid-tier teams in the Big 12 football-wise. I think that's the same thing. Big 12 basketball is leaps and bounds better than all the other conferences, right, in my opinion. Big 10, I mean, you settle up to go play Boston College. I mean, you have those games built into your schedule later in the year. I think the Big 12, that's why you get into a situation where, you have 14 games non-conference because, I mean, think Kansas, BYU, Texas Tech, TCU this year. There are teams that are in the top, 40 net rankings, and you have to play most of those teams twice in a year, Gage. So you're playing double what these other opponents are because they have, 2-3 weeks out of the year where I'm not saying they're cakewalks because anybody can beat anybody. And I think that's we need to applaud that in the situation, except for their one loss in the quad three, is that we won the games we were supposed to win, Gage, right? We did that.
I'll save you a little bit because you said Boston College in the Big Ten. I'm sure somebody already has their comment typed up. This guy does not know ball, man. He does not know ball. But I will give you like Northwestern or something. I'm pretty sure Boston College is still in the ACC, right?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
No, you're good. I figured I'd correct you. Somebody was probably already on it in the comment section, but I got you. Don't worry. I will. I'll give you like Northwestern, not Rutgers. Yeah, I understand. Listen, the 5 wins in quad one was against 22nd ranked Kansas at the time, obviously. Arizona State away, Cincinnati away, UCF away, and BYU at home when BYU was, of course, ranked 19th. And I keep seeing that now as we head into the conference tournament where we're probably going to end up playing BYU because they're going to beat K-State and then they'll play us, where BYU is ranked ahead of us. And I do think that some of that is due to their non-conference schedule, those games earlier in the year. I just think that that's where those teams kind of get that respect. And it shows that those games early in the year do hold a little bit of weight to the people who are voting on this and putting the teams in the seeds and everything along those lines. So, listen, I understand why it happened. Like, I understand why we had to play, those 8 games versus quad 4. But yeah, I just felt like even before the season, I was like, man, we can't fit somebody else in there. And maybe a home away, like this year at home, next year away, something of that ordeal. But, it is what it is. And you play the schedule that was built. And let's actually talk about the schedule and the overall play this year, Noah, because my God, was it up and down? And I have a few opinions about certain things. You have a few opinions about certain things. This is where I want to start. I'm on the side. I think it's split. 50% of people are like Ross Hodge is bad hire. He's getting these comps to Neil Brown, shit like that. I don't agree with that side. I think Ross Hodge did so much more with less that it has me like inspired that when he does get the talent that is needed to play at the Big 12, because we had players that do not deserve to be playing in the Big 12, that he can accomplish more. Now, I'm not defending. I'm not going to sit here and act like at times, Noah, the offensive struggles were very, very bad. All right. Now, how much of that is player versus coach? I don't know. We'll see when he gets, the Miles Sadler next year, some of these other 4-star guys coming in, maybe more his system, his guys, things like that, whatever. But speaking on this current team, Noah, here's what I will say, right? Another discussion of this year, and I want you to speak on both of these topics. There's 50% of the people who think Honor Huff is this overrated, like not very good, yada yada. And then there's this other side that, respects Honor Huff as a player, loves what he's done. He seems to be a stand-up guy for West Virginia. I heard him talking about country roads there after the last UCF game. I love the kid, right? I love the guy. I think he's a great player, great guy. He wasn't as good on offense because he was a Batman, Noah, promised a Robin and Trace and Eaglestaff who never showed up this year, other than maybe 5 games, 8 games, something like that. And I'm not getting on here to disrespect or talk my shit or anything like that, right? He probably made more money this year in NIL than a lot of people, okay? But holy smokes, Noah, was this just a whiff? Him and Jamori Robinson are sitting in penthouses in Morgantown just counting dollar bills all over the place on West Virginia. I was just every game that I watched, I was more pissed off with Eaglestaff than I was with Honor Huff because people are, well, he's jacking up all these crazy shots and chucking up threes and this and that. Well, what the hell do you want this guy to do when he's the only one on the court at times who's a legit offensive threat? If Chance Moore's on the floor, at least he is an offensive threat to drive to the basket and get a bucket, right? Or get fouled or something like that. This entire year, and I'm not penciling out Eaglestaff, but this is just a lot of my frustration stuff. This guy was not promised what he was supposed to be, and I'm kind of venting out frustration, but holy smokes, man. I mean, if this guy is half of what was promised, who knows what we're looking like in this conference tournament and March Madness beyond? Who knows? Your thoughts, Noah? I'm done. I mean, I'm pissed off already.
To go with your first one there, Gage, just to hit on Ross Hodge, I think the problem with me is that people that are upset with Ross Hodge, they're the same people that are okay with Rich Rod's season in football, right? And that's my problem with it. And I think both coaches deserved a first year of just kind of, hey, you want to win games, right? But we understand if you aren't able to. Obviously, basketball is a little bit easier because you just have to find 7 guys, where football you've got to find a lot more. So I do think Rich Rod does get a little bit of a longer leash, but exactly what you said, I believe Ross Hodge overachieved, right? 18-13 with the play that he got from key players such as Eaglestaff, such as my favorite Gage, Jasper Floyd, right? And I shouldn't say that because there have been some games that Jasper Floyd has carried us. But I will key on that point too. Huff, unfortunately, I believe Huff is a better player off the ball. He's able to get
Yeah,
more
of
shots,
course.
those types
Of
of things.
course.
But due to what you said there, no one else was able to create shots, so he's playing on the ball a lot. We looked better offensively towards the end of the season with him on the ball. Jasper Floyd, and defensively, Jasper Floyd is very, very good defender. He sets down plays. There have been games where you're like, this guy should have 25, and he ends the game with 12 because Jasper just locks him down. He is a defensive menace. Offensively, as a point guard in the Big 12, right? Now, when he was at North Texas, it appeared he's very, very efficient offensively. But when he came here, he struggled to break players down. And you saw that he's a bigger guard, but not a big guard where I'm playing him in the post. And when we needed him to score, we were putting him into the post. and it's hard to move your big out and make him play behind the three. And that's kind of my opinion on it. Eagle staff, yes, definitely underperformed. But we all know in Big 12 basketball, you need a shifty guard that can get downhill, can shoot the mid range, can hit the three. And that's what we were lacking with Huff having to win. And that's why Huff works better on the ball, because he's able to do those things where Jasper really isn't the type of player to break anybody down and create shots for Eagle staff and Floyd, or Eagle staff and Huff. I think kind of what you hit on there, Gage, Chance Moore. Like, if you can say one thing, Chance Moore was a hit. You hit on him in the portal 100%. He is probably more than promised, I would say, than what we were kind of expecting from him. Eagle staff, obviously, and people that have offensive issues that say, oh, Ross Hodge offense. Now, do I hope he goes out and hires an offensive assistant that is brilliant? Yes. But I always felt that there were many quality shots that guys who were supposed to be able to hit them didn't hit them. And that's my truth. I mean, how many threes? And you're not going to hit every three, I understand that. But threes, mid-range, layups, there were good quality shots, and they just didn't go in, right?
Well, and that's the thing, too, right? When you have this mold of a team that he desires to have, where it's sit down, play defense till you have blisters on your feet, right? And your shoes are full of blood, like, you have to be able to hit some shots. When you're going to play at this slow of a pace, right, you have to be able to hit these consistent threes and have consistent sets to get easy looks, Noah. And I texted you the other day. I was watching the Iowa-Nebraska game, right? I'm like, I love Ben McCollum because they play at that slow, methodical pace. But the difference is McCollum is so good on the offensive side of the ball that he's able to sit down half-court possessions with Bennett Sturts in direct traffic and get these easy layups, these easy mid-range looks. And they have two or maybe three consistent shooters throughout the team that are able to hit shots consistently. When you look at us, right, if it's Honor Huff or it's Jasper Floyd, whoever it is kind of conducting the offense and breaking things down from the jump, when it's drive and kick, right, it's like there's Eagle staff who's not having, a promising year. There's Brennan Lorient shooting a corner three, which, better this year than it was last year. Like, I like Belo on the block with his back to the basket, posting up, getting a bucket. I don't like him shooting threes consistently, right? There's Harlan Obioha in the paint, setting pick and rolls, which we'll get into. He was, it just didn't work out really. Statistically, like, these guys are still playing, Noah. These guys could go on to win the Big 12 championship for all we know. Who knows, right? Hope they make us eat our words. They're still playing. But I'm just saying, from a regular season standpoint, there were holes in this offense that the entire fan base could see, right? And it was consistent. It was every single night the same problems arise. And it got to a point, Noah, that there was really nobody to turn to on the bench either. Like, Chance Moore is your only legit threat off the bench. Amir Jenkins is young. He's very talented. I get that. The upside's there, this and that. No, he's not an offensive guy at this point in his college career. I mean, he's playing these minutes with the ball in his hands and needs to be able to play make and things like this, and it's just not there yet. I'm not saying that it won't be. It's just not there this season.
And I think that's something to hit on too, where you were saying DJ Thomas, same way. DJ Thomas, a few games, like, very, very serious. But it wasn't consistently. Like, one night he would come out, hit 4 threes, the next night not. Just right now in his collegiate career, he's not consistently a guy that can score every time he gets it. But, man, he does remind me a lot of Kevin Jones, Gage, but we can keep going.
Yeah, he does a little bit now that you say that. No, the one thing I was going to say was a consistent theme specifically in Big 12 play this year was pick and rolls with Honor Huff or whoever the guard was with Harlan Obioha. And the issue that we consistently ran into was just running off the screen and doubling Honor Huff. So many games this year, he was just being chased around the perimeter of the three-point line the entire game that, yes, he's not going to get open looks to the point where he needs to force these looks. He needs to force these tough shots. And, of course, he makes some, but he misses a lot of those tough shots more times than not. So, from your standpoint, now, when you're sitting down watching the offense, like, how much of the issue is Obioha on the offensive side of the ball and just kind of the lack of being a mid-range threat, just a little clunky just due to how big he is on the offensive side of the ball, which, by the way, Noah, there were like a couple games in Big 12 play where Obioha, I thought, was like flawless. He did exactly what we needed him to do. It was 10, 12 points in the paint, rim protecting, right? He was always in the right spot, grabbing rebounds, outlet passes, running the floor well. And I'm like, damn, bro. I'm like, what? Like, where is this consistently? But then I realized, like, you look at the landscape of Big 12 right now, he can't keep up with some of these bigs and the forwards. My God, Noah. I mean, the Baylors, the low end Big 12 teams, right, are running these 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" forwards who are rebounding just as good as him, but just flying down the floor, right? And then they don't have to guard him around the perimeter because he's not a threat to shoot the ball. So there he is. You're just following around on or huff. You're able to kind of sag off and play this little weird disguise defense where you maybe you think something's open and then boom, there's a guy steal layup at the other end. So your thoughts on the kind of the OBOHA situation and that whole ordeal?
Yeah, I think you kind of said it there at the end, matchup dependent. I mean, OBOHA was matchup dependent all year. When he got the smaller matchup, I feel like he did do a pretty decent job of sealing inside position. But the problem is, like you said, I think the Big 12, and you see the top end Big 12 teams too, Gage, all those guys are just big, athletic, rebounding rim protectors. Not really a scoring threat. They play good defense. They wall up, and they can jump out of the gym and they get rebounds. We kind of talk a little bit about when you go into next year, you're looking at a guy. Yeah, this year you had to take OBOHA. He was size. You needed a big center, and that's what you got, right? I think you got what you expected out of OBOHA if you realize what the Big 12 was. But you're going to see Ross Hodge next year and years coming. He's going to have the big athletic. He's going to have the what is it, Flagler for Houston?
Yeah.
The big
Sinak. Is everything Chris Sinak?
And then the one with dreads.
Tugler.
I knew it was was the last of them. But yeah, so Tugler. I mean, big athletic guys that run around the rim, that are able to get put back dunks, play good defense, and that's what West Virginia was kind of missing this year, in my opinion. Especially, I mean, we're talking offensively, but I mean, even defensively, rotation wise, we let up a lot of open threes because the rotation's a little bit slow, because of Ross Hodge's no middle philosophy defensively, right? But just to get back on the offense, Gage, when you look at OBOHA, we were kind of sold that he was a playmaker from the high post position, and maybe due to guys not hitting as many shots or play types, play styles, forming with each other, when he got the ball there, they didn't really blitz him. They kind of let OBOHA come to them, and once he got so deep, it was either score and then deny the pass to the corners, and you're kind of stuck because the only guy that's going to be able to knock that three down was Huff, right?
Yeah, you're right. And listen, before we end this video talking about the Big 12 tournament and wrap things up, I want to once again reinforce, right? We're like, it seems like we're sitting here ripping this team apart. Like, they didn't do this right. They didn't do this right. Listen, you can tell the camaraderie of this team is good. These guys play for each other, man. And that's what's special. And I said all year, this is a team that you don't want to see come March. The problem is as of right now, they didn't do enough to get into March Madness with some of the losses. And we didn't even talk about, the losses to Utah, the loss to Kansas State. It's like, guys, it's stuff like that true March Madness teams just can't have to even put yourself on that watch. Back to what I was saying, Harlan Obioha, like, one thing I will give about that guy, like, he rides for his guys, man. Like, I see it all the time, right? In person, high energy. Guys love playing for him. He's just one of those big guys. I can tell they love playing for him, right? So it's nothing against that. And same with Eagle Staff too. Like, he knows, Noah, he's not stupid. He knows he didn't have the year that he wanted to, the year he expected, right? But here's the great thing about March Madness and basketball and all this. All that is wiped clean now, because you still have a chance to go, no matter what, no matter who you lost, no matter who you beat. You can win your conference tournament. How likely is that? We're about to discuss it, right? But that's the beauty of it. And there is this world where they can get some key signature wins to potentially get themselves back on that bubble talk of the last four in, the first four in, all this and that. So let's talk about how big, I cannot stress enough how big this tournament is, Noah. And I want to say this right now before games start and people are watching this tomorrow and Tuesday. This is a neutral site team. I know we played in the tournament earlier this year and lost to Xavier and Clemson, But this is a team built for neutral site because you know what happens? Defense travels. Okay. And this is the team with the defensive displays that they've put on at times this year. You get into these games where it's 68, 63, 68, 64. I know who I'm picking. I know who I'm picking in those games. So here's the layout. Now, obviously, everybody's probably up to date on this, but West Virginia specifically, 7 seed. They're going to play the winner of 10 seed BYU versus 15 seed K-State. You and I are in both agreement. It's going to be BYU. They're like a 10.5 point favorite at the moment. So game one, Noah, let's go really quickly. West Virginia versus BYU, part 2. Give me your thoughts.
I don't love it, Gage.
I don't either. I don't either. Yeah.
You don't love to play the team you beat. It's possible, right? I think it is, but and especially with BYU coming off, I keep thinking that they're going to get hot, something's going to flip, but they are missing Richie Saunders. You can tell that he was a key part of their offense, and they haven't found it yet. So, like you said, a team that plays defense that's going to set down, BYU can dig themselves a hole. The problem is, Gage, they can dig themselves out of a hole, and West Virginia is pretty good at helping them fill the hole back up too, right?
No, yeah, that is what happens when you have the 1A or 1B player in all of college basketball right now. I mean, take your pick, Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonza. I would never fall for the boozer propaganda that's happening in Duke right now. DeBonza and Peterson are the two, most special players in college basketball at the moment. Yeah, no, I agree. I don't like it. I'm going to be honest with you. If that, we had to bet on that game, I would lay whatever points are going to happen with BYU just because they have DeBonza, and I think Robert Wright's going to turn it on. And, of course, Kobe Keita, the big center. That's a team that's a sneaky team, I think, that can just flat out win the Big 12 tournament. Like, I'm going to go ahead and say that. That's just one of those teams that shouldn't be a 10 seed. They're going to have a little bit of momentum when they beat K-State. So I don't love the matchup. But let's play hypothetical where West Virginia pulls off what would be an upset because they'll be underdogs, I'd imagine. Okay, there's step one, Noah, because then you beat BYU. You beat a team that's supposedly ahead of you in all of these bracketology, right? So how do you get rewarded with that? Oh yeah, you have to play Kelvin Sampson and the Houston Cougars with Kingston Flemings, who's a top 10 NBA pick. So here's the thing, Noah. If that game were to happen, in my opinion, if you win that game, I think you're in. I think you are in the tournament if you walk out of the Big 12 tournament beating BYU and Houston. In my opinion, you have to win those 2 games. Okay, and then obviously you would potentially get yourself to a third game where you would play more than likely Kansas, who's going to play TCU, Colorado, or Oklahoma State. We've already had success once versus Kansas. It's a completely different team now. If you were to hypothetically get to that game, we'll see. But what do you think about my take? If they win those 2 games, BYU and Houston, are they in the tournament?
I think that's the good thing because you're playing the teams with 2 very solid, resumes. You win those 2, those 2 wins equal 4 wins, in my opinion, because of the resume those teams hold. And then you've swept the season 2 wins over BYU in the season, and they are in everyone's bracket, right? So
I think those 2 wins completely erase your Utah and Kansas State losses.
And I'm going to give you the hotter take, Gage. I'd rather play Houston first. I mean,
really,
I'm being so honest, and because Houston is built very similar to West Virginia. It's one of those games you could see 68-64, and West Virginia sneaks it because they have more to play for. Houston's going to be in the top 4, like a 1 through 4 seed, right? I don't think they're going to make a 1 seed, but 1 through 4 seed. So they don't have much to play for, right? So you're like, okay, that would be a better. BYU is playing for seeding advantage, right? You don't want to be on that 9-8 game. You don't want to be the 10 set. You don't want to be there, right? So I think I would rather play Houston. If you get past BYU, I expect you to beat Houston. And the fun fact is, Gage, and this is a little take just for me, TCU is one of the hottest teams in the country, and they will beat Kansas, and it would be a West Virginia TCU matchup in that game. That's just how I speculate it. Darren Peterson, if they get past, that first, are you really worried about playing Kansas? Like, what are you really playing for? You're not really getting too much higher up seeding wise. Does he come out and play? God only knows, right? So I just like TCU
Yeah,
versus FCA if that is to happen.
yeah, I mean, Darren Peterson, he does seem very adamant about holding back his college minutes to display his full talents for the Sacramento Kings here next season in the NBA. I'm not sure what the case is for that. I think I'd rather play for Kansas than Sacramento Kings, but that is a hot take. No, TCU over Kansas, but anything can happen in March. We all know that. Okay, no, yeah, I mean, so I will ask you this. So we're kind of in agreement that it is going to be very difficult for West Virginia to win 2 games in this tournament, correct?
Yeah, it's difficult for him to win one, Gage. It's gonna be difficult for
Yeah,
him to win
I
one.
I agree. The BYU game. I mean, that's going to be it'll be a sit down game. I think that says 8 p.m. Central. The quality on this I'm looking at is horrendous. So 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'll be a hell of a game to watch. And like I said, season on the line, everything on the line. So Noah, let's wrap this video up. Give me your conference winner. Who do you think wins the full Big 12 conference?
Been one team all year. I mean, it doesn't change, Gage. Arizona is a powerhouse. They're a Final Four lock to me. There's very few that's doing it better, and Tommy Lloyd has got something working down there. It would be surprising to me if Arizona, not, I shouldn't say it like, oh, I'm 75% sure they will. But if I was to put money on a national championship right now, Arizona has the guys. They're deep. They have a lot of good players. They have what, in my opinion, is one of the best freshmen in the country. I just really think they have all.
Well,
They have the
really,
age.
too. Braden, is it I think it's Burrows is his last name. I always
Yeah,
want to say, is it Burries or Burrows?
Burries, I
Burries.
believe.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's come on strong towards the end of the year as well. But yeah, continue on.
So,
Pete. Yeah.
yeah, I just think Arizona has everything that you need to make it deep. They have some senior. They have some. I shouldn't say senior, but upperclassmen leadership. They have some guys that are just able to hit shots. They have a good mix of everything you need to be very, very good in March. And I think that is what's going to lead them to the Big 12 is because they haven't really had to change all year, and they have beat all these teams throughout the year. Obviously, they've dropped a couple here and there, but it's the Big 12. It's war. Game in, game out. It's war. But I just really think that they are a very good team. Like I would put Final Four for sure. I would say that Arizona makes it.
So I had to pivot off my pick because I've had my pick for the Big 12 championship. I mean, probably since like beginning of February, but it unfortunately changed when JT Toppin tore his ACL. Huge Texas Tech fan. I love the team that they have this year, and I would have picked them to win the Big 12 championship just because I love McCaslin, I love Anderson, love Toppin, love the wings they have. But no longer, no Toppin. I'm iffy. I think I think that Iowa State beats them when they finally see them, if that's the case. So I will pivot, Noah. I'm actually going to go the better. I think the team that wins it is the better version of West Virginia. I think Houston comes out with this because one, I think Arizona gets their loss out of the way before the tournament, right? Seems like every single time one of these 1 seeds, they lose their whether it's the championship or semifinal or something like that, lose it, and then they make their Final Four national championship run. And I just think that what I said earlier about West Virginia, defense travels so well in these tournaments, and coaching does as well. And one thing, you mentioned Tommy Lloyd. I think Houston has arguably the best coach in college basketball. Okay, I just think that Kelvin Sampson, the team that he has, that they're going to be able to play maybe their C plus B minus game offensively and still be able to win games and win this tournament outright. And I just think that what you said, like they're going to play BYU if they beat us or whoever it is. And then TCU or Kansas is kind of what you and I are in agreement on. I just think they match up too well with Kansas if that's the case. And I don't know. I just think when it comes to a 1-game setting championship, Arizona versus Houston, if that's the case, 1 versus 2, I like Kingston Flemings. I like Sampson. And I just kind of like the experience a little bit more than Koa Pete and the other freshman guard. So Houston, Kansas, or Houston, Arizona, kind of chalky picks. But yeah, I think Big 12 is going, the tournament itself is going to be a little chalky when it gets to the Arizona and Houston games. So Noah, anything else you want to say, man, before we wrap it up?
I just think definitely key on, you've hit on it a couple times this video, but this is like, we are excited with the way this season went. Like, we're not sitting here down. Yes, it could have been better. You could have not lost a few games, and it changes your season drastically. But I was happy with the season in the sense that with the performances you got out of players, you kind of overachieved. If you were to tell me that Eagle staff had the season he did this year, and I would have guessed our record would have been, I don't know, 16,
500.
500, 16, 16.
500.
To go 5 games over 500 and to be a 7 seed in the Big 12. Like, that's what's most impressive to me. The record within the Big 12 was very, very impressive to me, Gage. So, like, I just don't want anyone to think that we're, like, out on Ross Hodge, because I'm actually very, very, excited to watch him, to continue as coach. Young coach. I mean, you kind of have that. You were swinging on him for him to have a couple, not say down years, you want him to always win, but a couple years before he hits his peak. And we have them on the payroll, and if somebody else wants them, they got to pay us. We're not paying somebody for them.
Yeah, 100% agree. Achieved more than what was expected, I think, in year one. So, guys, man, appreciate you watching the video. I know it's been a while, but leave a thumbs up, any comment. Let us know who you think's winning the Big 12 tournament as it starts tomorrow, the day you are watching this. So, guys, appreciate you. We'll see you in the next one.